Hi everyone, thank you Adrian for the invitation. Now that I'm up again, I'm invited again, so thank you for that. And so I will be sharing my experience. I've been in the industry for 15 years now. We were quite a pioneer, starting from Switzerland with an international development that I will be speaking about, and back to Earth and back to normality. And thank you, Barry, for this very inspiring keynote speech. It's not easy to follow you, but afterward. But I will be again bringing you some very down-to-earth experience that I've been going through over the last 15 years. So I'm not allowed to introduce myself. That was done, but just a key point. So I was not from the industry. I started in the out-of-home business when I was 29. I'm from an entrepreneur family, so it was in my genes. But I have no background in the media industry. I was in the banking after my studies. I'm born in Geneva, Switzerland. I've studied in Geneva, Switzerland. So most of my experience is about Switzerland. Before the birth of new advertising, not a lot of people knows, but everything started with traffic light. We were 29, a friend of mine and myself, and we wanted to be entrepreneur. Young, with a lot of energy, and we had a weekend in Istanbul, Turkey, and we discovered this traffic light equipped with countdowns, and we thought, this is a brilliant idea. We don't have this you have this in the States, you have this in the UK. There was some of them in Turkey, but nothing like such devices in Switzerland. And we said, this is a brilliant idea, but the good idea would be to add a digital screen to this countdown so that we can offer the cities. And that was the starting point of new advertising. At that time, the company was called Traffic Light Advertising. And we put all our money on the table. We went to the city and we said, this is what we will do in Geneva. I said, yeah, brilliant idea. Go, develop a pilot, develop a product, and we will be testing it in Geneva. So we ran to engineer school, the top engineer school in Geneva. We gave all our money and developed a brilliant product, a screen, able to be connected through the satellites at that time, and being able to support any kind of picture. And we had the countdown device, we added a digital screen, and we said, this is the perfect product. We have a captive audience, people queuing. We offer a service to the community as the people who will master the time until the next change of color, and we thought, yes, we have the product, we'll be very successful. I went back to the city and said, okay, we are ready, we can roll out the pilot. They said, we are very sorry, we just got the budget to change all the traffic light system from a fixed loop system to an intelligent system with external stimulus, and we don't master the time until the next changing of color. We only get 3 seconds. Okay, so that was a very, very bad news for us, but when you're 29, you don't stop your project because of that. We said, okay, maybe the countdown is not a good idea, but we have something. We have a screen that we can address with the IT network. And yeah, we changed the name of the company from Traffic Light Advertising to New Advertising and said, there are probably someone out on the market that needs a digital screen that can be connected to the network on which we can display multimedia spots. The real birth of new advertising is 2003. At that time, out-of-home was only analog. There was absolutely no digital project in Switzerland. We have sparked a few projects, mainly in the States. And the real driver for us was, at that time, you may remember, the Walmart TV project, the PRN project. I think that is, for us, the first mover, the pioneer of the industry. We were all very inspired by this project of Walmart. So, founded the company in 2003, being a digital out-of-home player exclusively. We were privately founded at that time. We had some savings on the side after the pilot project of the traffic lights, not much, but we had 2 screens. And I think we started with 2 screens. And we took the 2 screens and we went around and we found 2 or 3 shopping malls that were interested at that time with our screens, this technology, and we started this way. And no media background, I have mentioned, no IT background, but a lot of energy. And we wanted, and we really, and I think this is what we needed at that time to be able to survive in this industry at that time because there was no market. And we know that this industry is capex intensive. You need to be invested, to be capable of investing a lot. But without this background, what makes us being able to survive is that we were really motivated and our determination was very high. So we spent the first 2 years walking around the country with our screens, and we signed a lot of shopping malls, shops, pharmacies, and we had a good media coverage. We had more and more contracts, so then you need money. Because signing a contract on a project is easy, but then running out, especially at that time when a screen was costing like 10,000 bucks, you need a lot of money. And we went on the market to raise finance, and the good news. And the good news was when we signed the first hypermarket, supermarket chain in Switzerland. At that time, that was the French Carrefour. And on that news, I was able to attract some investor, and in particular, one investor that gave me the energy and the idea to go international. And that was a very famous entrepreneur, Swiss entrepreneur that was very successful, making billions in his ventures. And he told me one thing: Christian, Switzerland is too small. Your project is good. You have a lot of energy. You have everything you need to be successful. Go international. And this is the second era of our life at NEO, is the international development, as Adrian mentioned, and we had no limit. The only limit was the 24 hours a day that we have all as a capital, but this investor told me, whatever you need, I will be there. And we entered, that was in 2007, 3 years of intensive development. Investing tens of millions. I've opened up new advertising in 13 countries, starting with Canada, thanks to the connection of Broadsign. At that time, there was a known project called Dan Media, not going so well, so we were able to acquire the company, and then we have developed Europe, the States, Asia, China, and we spent 3 years extremely intensive, spending our life in planes, hotels, acquiring companies, opening up other companies, and that was intense. Until the financial bubble exploded. And even though we had a very committed investor that was an individual getting old with some responsibility toward his younger family, and he told me, Christian, I've been very supportive, I'm still very supportive, but you have to turn the business to profit in 6 months' time. And at that time, that was end of 2009, that was absolutely not possible. We had opened up so many countries. We were in all these countries at the very starting point, so we needed to invest, to build the infrastructure, to have our inventory. At that time, to give you an idea, I was investing $1 million a month. And when he told me that, I went to the bank, of course, and I said, okay, we have a brilliant project. I can show you all the positive development of the company. We are burning cash, but in 2 years' time, I can turn it to profit, at least to balance the cash. And yeah, that was that period. I don't know if you remember, but there was no money. The money was not moving. We had the only option to restructure the company, either to stop or to restructure the company. And that was probably the most difficult time of my life until now. That was in March, I remember, on the 22nd of March 2010. I had to question myself if I wanted to stop everything or if I wanted to give a chance to the business and find some time to restructure the operation. That was definitely not going to a better financial situation over the next 12, 24 months. And I had a very long night with myself, a very good bottle of Bordeaux, one was left, and I took the decision that I will, by respect for all my employees, partners, to restructure the company and to go back to the initial project that was the starting point, that was Switzerland. And then I spent the next 3 years in reorganizing the group. So from 2010 to 2013, I spent most of my time restructuring the organization, selling the companies I was able to sell, and thanks to the Canadian operation, that was the first international development that we did, I was able to get the cash I needed to gain the time to restructure the entire organization. And that was a fire sale, that was a fantastic company, but I had 1 week, because the bank at the same time told me, Christian, you have to put the money on the bank, otherwise we kill the company. And I had 1 week to get the money, a few millions on the accounts. And I went to Canada and said, I have 1 week to sell the Canada. And at that time, I had a partner there and said, okay, I will acquire the company. And I gained the time. And I spent these 3 years restructuring everything. The only company that we had to close down was the UK company, Avanti Screen Media. We entered into the company to try to save it, but we didn't succeed, unfortunately. Otherwise, in all other countries where we have operated, we find a nice way to exit, either to sell it to the management, either to sell it to a new partner, or to transfer it to someone. But that was a very challenging time. But I will definitely remember this time for the rest of my life. And what I call the second burst of new advertising, once I have finalized this the restructuring, was to refocus on the initial project. That was Switzerland. When I came back to Switzerland in 2013, it was still a small operation. You know Switzerland. I will give you some figures in the next slides. Switzerland is a tiny country. Yes? Close to 8 million inhabitants, but a very strong media market. In terms of ad spending per capita, it's the second or the third country in the world. So when I come back to Switzerland, it's our operation is do only, digital only. It represents 20 employees. We make a turnover of 5 million. We don't lose cash. We don't make cash. We have no investment capacity. That in this industry, when you cannot invest, when you don't have a financial sponsor or a bank, you don't move. And we have two strong offers, which is the first one is the digital shopping malls, where we had at that time in operation, in contract, 40 shopping malls. And we have Geneva Airport, which is the second largest airport in Switzerland, but which is the most powerful airport in terms of ad spending per capita, per passenger. We are above €1 per passenger, which is a world record. And at that time, we have just a few screens in the airport, because most of the inventory in the airport is analog. And but we succeed in the past to convince Geneva Airport management to accept a few screens beside the traditional concession. So this is the starting point. And these are the figures I will quickly go through just to understand the out-of-home market in Switzerland. So Out-of-home represents 8% of the market, so it's a quite strong presence in the mix. And most of the market, 75%, is public domain. Digital, at that time, only represent 9% of the market, so far from the 50% you expect in the States. So it's a very, very traditional market dominated by a strong player I will discuss later. And 16% is in the public transport, buses, train, and so this is the market structure. This I will skip. When I come back to the company in Switzerland, our market share is 1.5%. You see that the market is dominated by a company called APG SGA, which is a company that is owned partly by JC Deco, but is very inspired by JC Deco. So it's not a subsidiary officially, but it's a clone of JC Deco. And Clear Channel, which is the second largest company with a market share of 22%. These two companies are operating in Switzerland for more than 100 years. So they really control the market. They are very strong in the market, even though Clear Channel has been present in Switzerland throughout acquisition. But those two companies, they have very strong inventory of the market for more than 100 years. So having to scramble this market is not really easy. So dominant these two players are. When I come back to the company in 2013, I realized something, and two very important information that I put it in the equation. The first one is that digital is the future, no question. But digital is the future, but media buyers, they don't care. They don't care if they buy analog or digital. They buy sites, they buy location. Some locations are better equipped with digital, others are better equipped with analog. Doesn't make any difference for the media buyers. And second, the digital is the growth factor, but to be able to capture this growth opportunity, you need to be present in analog. Because most of the growth of digital come from the transformation of a site from analog to digital. It's not about creating new venues, creating new sites. No, this is absolutely not the case. The digital growth opportunity is a transformation from an analog site to a digital site. So my thinking was that if I wanted to be able to capture this growth potential of the market, I need to own the analog rights. And I took a very weird decision that day, which is the opposite decision of all out-of-home companies that are going full-speed digital. I said, okay, no, I will open up my product range. I will not be digital exclusive supplier in the future. I will be what we call universal out-of-home companies, having all the formats for all the universe of the out-of-home communication. Everyone call me a crazy guy, you don't understand anything about out-of-home, but I'm used to it in the past already when I selected, one of the first companies to select broadsign. The people at Deco, they told me, Christian, you don't really understand anything. You should own your technology, you should not rent your technology. And yeah, so I'm used to it. So that was a very logical and easy decision to take. Huh? But then you have to make it. And what I've now realized is that digital is easy to operate, difficult to sell. Analog is easy to sell, but difficult to operate. And it's probably easier to make the shift from analog to digital than the opposite. And this is a good sample, a good picture that illustrates what you have to do. So when you start from digital, you don't understand this. And one of my first premise, and here is the city of Geneva, because even though we go analog, we put our DNA in all the project, and our DNA at NEO is to make it different. And our promise to the cities where we operate analog sites is to make it without any carbon vehicles in a very eco-friendly way. So we had to reinvent totally the process and use those kind of vehicles to make it. But when you have to, when you come from digital, this is something which is very scary. This is not what you want to see. So this is something that you have to learn. Paper, you don't know how to handle the paper. So we discovered everything. You think, oh, gluing a poster is very easy, but everything you have before gluing the poster, it's huge. It's huge. And I had no idea that we would get from the clients, from the agencies, rolled, poster rolled. And when you go on the field to glue it, you need to fold it. So you have a huge process of management of the poster before you can gluing it. So everything, you have a machinery, huge machine. That was good for this because I love machinery, and that was the best news for me when I had to acquire those machinery that are folding the papers. So, but all this process, all these logistic things that you have to do were all new. And what I discovered is that it's not that difficult, but it's a business by experience. It's not written in the book. You need to get the right people that come from the industry, that have experienced this for many, many years, that put the right process together. But this, it takes time until you discover how to make it. So this is at the end what we make. What has changed since we took this decision to go also analog, and what we had to learn? And these are the 5 most important items that we had to integrate. First of one is the public tenders. As long as we were digital, we are not so used about the large public market and public tenders. And going analog, so you are really fierce competition in front of you, Deco, Clear Channel, very used to those big competition. So you have to learn how to reply to those tenders. Financial guarantees. This is something that we had not in the past in the digital format, but when you collaborate with a city, when a city gives you its public domain and that you have a financial commitment to the city, they expect you to give them a very strong financial guarantees. And this is a way also the big players, they protect the market, because they know that the newcomers, they cannot really put the money on the table. And we had to go on the market again or raise money to be able to win those first contracts, because we needed just to park the money at the bank to get the letter from the bank. Yes, this company, they have the money in the bank, and you can contract with them. The machinery I've already discussed. You need a lot of new equipment. You need a lot of space to manage all these processes of the paper on the paper. On the volume, it's just for a city of Geneva. Every year we go glue and post 100,000 posters. It's huge volume, and it's every day. It's never stop. Sending one spot to 1,000 screen, it takes a second with good software. The same campaign in analog. It's sending 20 people out there with this bicycle, with this vehicle to post it. It's huge volume. And finally, ERP. And I think this is a very hot topic as we speak, because most of the outdoor companies, the big media, the big player like Deco and Clear Channel and like us, no one is really ready on the back with the software to manage at the same time both analog and digital inventory. I know that all the guys present here, they work hard to have a good solution, but still today, most of the players that are a complete offer of analog and digital, they battle with the back office, with the software. So the outcome of this decision, just in figures, so we have been able over the last 3 years of multiplying our business by 4 times. The team grew up from 20 people to 65, I think, as we speak today. We were able to acquire most of the big contracts in Switzerland from the competition, so that was really a revolution. We totally transformed the landscape of out-of-home in Switzerland from a duopoly to a market dominated by 3 players. We won 3 of the top 5 cities across Switzerland, for which we are the exclusive partner for all the public domain. We won Geneva Airport, not only digital, but as well analog. So just to say that we are the company that is growing the fastest, and you see it here. You may remember that 3 years ago we had a market share of 1.5%. Now we grew up to 5.5. It's not that impressive, but I can tell you when you have such market structure, it's already quite an achievement. And we have the opportunity now, because we have shown the market that we can operate a large city, that we can operate a large contract, a large airport, really to be a serious contender to most contracts, including the largest contract, and we can really make jumps now of 10% by gaining new contracts. So altogether, we have, as we speak, 12,000 surfaces that we sell. We are in airport, public domain, still very strong in shopping malls, which is still a very fast-growing market segment in Switzerland. Point of sales, which is still to come, and we have some business center, exhibition center, where as well we have equipped. All this has resulted in a partial sale of the company. So the next challenge for us, because now we know how to grow the company, we have a real, complete, universal out-of-home company, a serious contender to the 2 market leaders. But the next challenge for us is, like the challenge that we all have in the out-of-home, is how to transform the media and make sure the media will be ready and compliant with the needs of the media buyers in the future. And bottom line, the challenge for us is to transform out-of-home from a visual impact, a visual link, to a mobile impression. That's it. It's very simple to say, but to be able to enter into the mobile of the people, of the passing by people, it's not so easy. As an independent company, we cannot make it. And I had a chance that we have in Switzerland a very strong press group. Yeah? You may remember that in the past, the press group, they were very active in the out-of-home. When they had all the problem with the press going down, digital going up, they had to sell it. But again, we have a very strong group called Tamedia in Switzerland, market leader. They make more than $1 billion in revenues, and they have the strongest mobile offer. They have the strongest app with their magazine, and that was beyond the financial aspect of the transaction, which is always good. For me, which stays as the CEO and still a shareholder of the company, the opportunity of selling a majority stake to Tamedia was to be able to get the data and access to their app. And now, with all our devices that are equipped with Beacon, we can contribute to Tamedia to gather the data, and we know exactly who is in front of the media, of the display. And this has a huge value for us. We see that we are probably today, as you saw it, not the largest out-of-home company, but we are the one which has the strongest offer for the future. And I'm convinced that this decision of partnering, of welcoming Tamedia in our equity was a wise decision as well, and we will be able to transform it into synergies and value in the future. And thank you very much for